been looking for him.
Aha! So this is the renowned Mr. Kaedehara.
You are too kind. We are currently investigating an
Oh? You were targeted in an assault? Mr. Kaedehara is currently the talk of the town. To be honest with you, our detective agency has recently been receiving many inquiries. Some of them were offering us millions of mora just to gather the information they want. If these were more legitimate...
Millions? Of mora?
Please, accept my thanks for looking up.
Of course. No matter what, we only take on legitimate cases. We don't make our money by Sorry, I got a little off topic. But I wouldn't know where to begin if we want to connect.
Then let's put that connection aside for now. Have there been any other attacks? The Tenryou Commission had very few leads, and I thought you might have some information.
It's true that the commissioners aren't clued up about every little thing that goes on out in the streets. But if anyone had been out there attacking people, that would be assault.
Uh-oh. Looks like the trail...
I still find it difficult to believe that whoever attacked... Few people possess your prowess in battle. So unless you were the first person he targeted, I am well aware of your talents. There is no need to be... It would cause me great grief to see someone become critically... For the poor victim, this would be a
Don't worry, we'll find him.
It seems you are every bit the selfless hero they make you out to be, Mr. Kaedehara. Surely this same concern for your fellow men...
You flatter me. Truth be told...
You are much too humble. Don't worry, I completely understand. Oh, actually, there was one strange... Let me tell you about it just in case.
Sure. During times like this, the more...
All right then. Recently, two people went... One of them is a pretty well-known collector, surnamed Nagato. The other, Amenoma...
Amenoma! Now there's...
Right. Yuya is the nephew of Amenoma Toga. Two grown men going missing at the same time. I recalled this because Amenoma Yuya is also an accomplished martial artist.
Understood, though it seems highly unlikely to me.
Sure, can't hurt. We never know what...
Thank you, Ryuji. We'll start by making some...
Sounds good. All the best with your investigation.
Ah, if it isn't Kaedehara...
Huh? You two...
Yes, the Kaedehara and Amenoma clans were both members of the Raiden Gokaden. After I returned to Inazuma, I visited... Yes, you may recall the story of the Raiden Gokaden from...
Though all bladesmiths trace their craft back to the same source. As an example, the Amenoma art strives to emulate... There is nothing mystical to our work. There is only practice, day in and day out. As for the art of the Kaedehara clan...
That's right. Isshin art strives for complete harmony between for only a blade thus forged can capture and convey its maker's thoughts and feelings.
Indeed. Most samurai choose their blades. You are, without a doubt, the most worthy wielder of an Isshin blade.
You overestimate me. My actions are guided by my own. But let's get back on topic. The purpose of our visit, we hope to assist with the investigation. It may turn out that...
Ah, yes. My nephew. He didn't say a word before he left. Which is very... But I've done what I can so far. Worrying is...
We heard that there was a collector involved in the disappearance too.
Yes. On the morning that Yuya went missing, I believe he went to collect the item from Mr. Nagato. After that, the next thing... Yes. Strange, isn't it? I wonder what could have caused it.
Do you have any...
If I had to guess, it must have been some kind of rare weapon. He's never been particularly interested in blade forging, but has always had a fondness. He is extraordinarily talented in martial arts.
Truth be told, we have some information that you may find to be objectionable. Based on the evidence we have gathered so far, only Yuya seems to match the suspect's
What? No. Absolutely impossible. He is humble and kind. Even his training is done with the goal. Yes. If there's one thing I can say for certain, it's... But, with that said, I also cannot know what course of action he might be capable of if coerced, or... Anyway, should you find him...
Don't worry. You have our word.
From the sound of that, Paimon doesn't think Yuya was the one who...
Yes. It sounds as if something happened when the two met. Let's pay a visit to the Nag...
You can find everything anywhere.
Come, try some creative cooking.
I'm very sorry, but we cannot afford to pay what... My husband has gone missing, and I'm still
No, you misunderstand us. We are here to help with the
Ah, I see. I thought the debt I'm sorry you have to see me in this dreadful state.
I'm afraid we don't have any new information at the moment. With this in mind, can we perhaps ask...
For example, Paimon's
That's a long story. He'd always get so animated when he was showing them to me. I knew nothing about the items myself. Everything was fine when we first got married.
Uh-oh. What happened?
He lost his sense of restraint. He started buying more and more. Our expenses really spiraled out of control when he started getting interested in weapons. It was awful. He wouldn't sell them, wouldn't even touch them. I'm happy he has a hobby, and I'm willing to support him. But making ends meet has to come first. On the last day that I saw him, I gave him an ultimatum. I said,
Whoa!
And that led to an argument.
Actually, it didn't. Generally, he's a quiet man. You must understand, I never would have dreamed of threatening him with divorce. After I said those words, he froze and was silent for a long time. His voice was so meek and pitiful that I felt an urge to take everything back. But then what? If I didn't draw the line, what would happen? Had I not indulged his bad habits? And I also don't know if he had... The next thing I heard was that our warehouse had caught fire, and...
I see. Ame no Yuya came to purchase a weapon from Mr. Nagato.
At first, I assumed they must have gotten into it, but my husband has never been one to negotiate. He never even haggles when he's out buying groceries.
Maybe he was...
I don't know. He just disappeared after the... Perhaps he's too afraid to come home, now that all his collectibles have been lost in the... Even though I'm still a little mad at him. As long as he's willing to turn over a new leaf, I know...
Please don't get upset. There could be more to this If collecting things is a habit that Mr. Nagato had his whole life, but the information we gathered from the other side suggests Ame no Yuya is...
a little confusing.
Let's try a change of scenery and see... Rest assured, we'll notify you if we find it.
Thank you so much.
Based on the information we've gathered so far, I can only surmise that the fire at the warehouse likely played a part in how the situation unfolded. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, Paimon was... Nope, never mind. Paimon's brain needs to rest for a while. Over to you.
That is the most likely conclusion based on everything we know. What started as... However, in this case, only one of the parties would have started the fire. If this is indeed what happened, and the innocent... One fact that I keep coming back to is that Ame no Yuya is polite and well-mannered. Mr. Nagato, being heavily in debt, is also the more I ponder it, the more puzzling it becomes. Just right. Although the time frame seems to broadly match, no Amenoma Yuya lacks a key distinguishing feature of the attacker, namely that he is principally a
Darn! We thought we could get two birds with one stone here.
Let's keep going, since we've come this far. If we can solve the case, both Mr. Amenoma and...
Okay, but where's...
Let's head out of the city and check out the warehouse. There's still a Wait. I hear something ominous and...
Oh! This must be another one of those... As sketchy as that whole thing seems, you did put it to good use when we were chasing down that...
Now I'm picking up a strong scent in addition to the scent.
But there's nothing here.
It's gone now, but I can still sense the direct... It felt very much like that ancient presence in Inazuma. Indeed. But this unexpected... We should remain vigilant and approach...
So it's an
The force is definitely... The source of the Tatarigami energy has long since left this place. Judging from the concentration, I would have to conclude...
Mrs. Nagato said her husband used to hang around the window.
It could well be that he was already under the influence of Tatarigami. From what I've been told, Tatarigami... But most will develop a stubborn streak upon being exposed. Mr. Nagato had an interest in collecting to begin with. The influence of Tatarigami could
So what should we do now?
Step back. I'll open the door and take a look at... If we don't open this door, we can move no... You needn't worry. Both of us have faced far greater...
What's down there?
Everything's buried in debris. I can't see it. It looks like the fire caused a cave-in, reducing the entire warehouse.
That was too scary! Paimon was...
All we can do now is keep searching in the direction that the Tatarigami entered. Two ordinary humans, entangled with the Tatarigami. Yes, let's go. If nothing, quiet your mind and focus on what you sense around you. From this point, the trail appears to split into two. The main source of the Tatarigami energy continued on into the distance, but a small portion... quite...
Whoa! Look at all those hilly churls! They're acting really strangely.
Something seems to be drawing our attention. Let's take a closer look.
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
Enhanced Animal Module 75.
It's...
Ugh! Look at this...
By the looks of it, a letter. Written on a piece of torn clothing. Well, let... According to this letter, a conflict arose because Yuya started the fire that destroyed the warehouse and wounded Mr. Nagato in the fight. Mr. Nagato...
So...
He was not only mortally wounded, but also under the heavy influence of Tatarigami. Add to that the fact that it's... Whatever traces there may have been of his fate beyond after this point, they've since been disturbed. Yes. Right now, we need to... If Amenoma Yuya is attacking other people indiscriminately, then the longer we...
Right! So let's get moving!
I wouldn't be surprised if he, too, fell prey to the influence. For a practitioner of the martial arts, the easiest desire to all the clues that at first seemed disparate and I have a hypothesis that, if it's correct, not only
Wait! You figured it out? So...
I believe so. But it's something of an outlandish... On with the search. We must stay vigilant. He seems...
Why here? Is there anything...
I'm not sure. But on closer examination, I... Show yourself!
Kaede Harakazuha. It's you, at last.
Aha! So it is... What's your problem, huh? What could you...
Indeed, there should be no enmity between us. But what if instead of facing Amenoma Yuya, we are in fact facing the blade in his hand?
Now that you mention it, it is Whoa! Sure!
Tatarigami energy often lodges itself within physical objects. The blade has resided in Mr. Nagato's warehouse for many years. Or rather, as a means to occupy...
You're sharper than I thought. Many years ago, I was forged by a famed bladesmith of the Ishin as a descendant of the Kaedehara clan.
I presume it has something to do with the Raiden Gokat.
Indeed. At that point in time, he failed to live up to the Raiden Shogun's He was a bladesmith of great renown, a master of his craft. And sure enough, in the end, he achieved what he had set out to do. He not only bestowed upon me the greatest of strength. In her conceit, the Raiden Shogun lost not only the single most perfect...
So... swords? Can be...
The people of the time in which I was born never believed I had that kind of power. They saw me as a mere blade. After the death of my creator, I decided to leave Snezhnaya and began... I seek but one thing. To face the full force of the Raiden Shogun's blade and prove my power.
So Amenoma Yuya was... Tell me, what happens to those you've possessed when you've...
My hosts? Who cares what happens to them? When they got tired, or injured, or unusable, I hopped to the next one in line.
You're awful!
After I returned to Inazuma, I decided to bide my time in Nagato. At long last, I'm approaching my journey's destination. By Amenoma Kaede Harakazuha, you stood against the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi. Now, give...
The wind knows me.
Oz, reveal thyself! Orders given. Orders received.
Blazing delight!
Shall rewrite history!
Pew! Jumpy, jumpy, go! Hi-ya! Da-da-da!
Join me and sever that
Midnight
divine light!
Phantasmagoria! Animo test 6308. Stand clear.
One with nature.
To me! Do not stand in my way.
Your bluff's fooling no one.
Lost. I can never lose. It is this. Even if you defeat me here, the one who fought. He is but a puppet that can be replaced. I can take. The end result is the same. I will end this wretch's life. And even if I were to lose my physical form, by any means necessary, and.
Your fighting style. It is indeed the form, but from your movements, I sense only hatred and arrogance.
Really? You can tell all.
As I've mentioned before, the forms of Ishin art can. Since the blade is currently possessing Amenome Yuya's body, its if you ask me, the mania is probably due to.
Are you trying to claim that I am helpless with. On his deathbed, he passed to me all of Ishin arts. In that regard, why would I.
Because all of that is in the past. I've been wondering why you've not caused more trouble in all the years that you've been in Inazuma. Now that I've seen inside your mind, everything finally makes sense. After all the time that's passed, you have grown weak.
Oh, that's right. Paimon remembers now.
Only when Mr. Nagato witnessed his wife's distress and decided to sell his collectibles did you finally.
And what a.
Well, that brings me to my second point. You were determined to fulfill your maker's ambition, whatever the cost. But this I think you realized your limitations long ago. The more you clenched your teeth and pressed forward, but the way I see it, what began as an ambition.
What would you know about any of this? I'm just one.
You returned to Inazuma to prove the unparalleled brilliance of Ishin art. But even if you were to sever that divine light, Sure, you inherited the secrets of Ishin art. But even as you made your journey to honor this legacy, how could you possibly unleash the full potential of Ishin art when—
Silence! I must achieve my goal. I will concede that you are most perceptive. You see my predicament.
And you should face reality.
Easy for you to say. Facing reality offers me. I have no need of anything that would stand in my way. It is pointless to argue further, descendant.
How stubbornly you stick to— I do not believe for a second that you can challenge the almighty Shogun in your current—
What? Surely you're not planning—
Very well. Then find yourself some enemies with whom you wish to cross blades. Once we have dealt with them, we
And as for your end of the bargain, if you lose—
I accept.
Don't do this, Kazuha!
This is the only way to save Amenome Yuya. If we— The cursed blade's strength is currently very weak, and I sense he's hesitating. The power of the Tatarigami lies in intensifying existing obsessions. This is the reason Mr. Nagato and Amenome Yuya—
But
Even if things take a turn for the— We have a chance here to save an innocent victim.
Your disdain for me betrays your woeful ignorance. I agree now.
Kazuha?
I felt a little— It's all right. So far, this was as I expected. I will.
What should we do next? Have you got a—
We find some enemies. Although this blade has endured much turmoil, it probably— If a blade built for Ishin art cannot enter a state of harmony between blade and— If he wants to avoid reality, then we need to fight until he has no
Wait a minute! Paimon remembers hearing about something since the Takasukasa clan abandoned that secret base. It's—
all right.
What about Amenome Yuya?
The blade says he'll let Amenome Yuya trail us silently.
Are we sure this is a good idea? Okay, fine.